Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I'm your host and Foreman Douglas Scoundrels, and today we are assembling the Victoria's core box. Box contains 2 Victorias, not just one. These 2 ladies over here, plus a henchman, Vanessa, their sister, and 3 Ronin. Yep, no totem this time because you get 2 masters. Neat. That's our artwork, and our renders are as such on the back. Victoria Chambers 1, Victoria Chambers 2, Vanessa Chambers, and 3 Ronin. So let's look at the sprue. Here is our sprue. We have Victoria and also Victoria at the top. Both of these are Victoria. And then Vanessa over here in this one. And then the 3 Ronin down here. So kind of small bits, but nothing looks too terribly complicated. Get started on our masters first. Alright, we will start with our first Victoria, the one that is sort of crouching down and is holding 2 swords. The split line being right here. So everything on this side is Victoria 1. We'll go and grab the torso and add it to the back half of the torso, followed by the right leg, the left thigh, the left leg. Then we'll do both of the arms, put the head on, which is up here, and then finish with the hair. Alright, so we're going to start with these 2 pieces. Back side of the torso, and the front side of the torso. Now it looks like you should be assembling the 2 legs before you actually attach it here, because those have like a tooth and hole situation. So start by grabbing the full leg, this guy, and you can see the hole that it's going to connect to with the thigh of the left leg. So as a reminder, we'll attach this here, which is the left thigh, and then glue the left leg to that. And once all those 3 pieces are combined, we'll attach them to the torso. Now here's the 2 of them combined. They're kind of pointed in the same direction. That big nub on the top is what's going to jam inside of the torso. Now you can either add the leg like I initially instructed you to, or put this on the torso and add the leg. I'm going to go and follow my own instructions, although normally I'd probably just attach it to the torso here. There it is attached. Just make sure you don't accidentally glue her knee to this knee pad here. There is supposed to be that little bit of space here because it's the armor just sort of sticking out. You want it to look like this with that gap. Here it is from the other side. But now we can glue it to her torso. It looks like an uncomfortable position to be in, but it's good. It's how it's supposed to be. And she's, standing like that. So let's do the arms and her head now. Last bits order, we have her left arm and then her right arm, head, and hair. Left arm is going to fill up this entire big gap right here. Okay, that's looking nice. Gap is really small. Now let's do the right arm. And there is our right arm moving right along. Let's attach the head. Okay, probably should have attached the hair first, just because now I have to wait for it to solidify before I can put that hair on, otherwise it's going to knock it off. Because that's a small connection point on the neck, and as far as figuring out exactly how it's supposed to go, you're really just going to have to stare at the neck here and see how it lines up. With the neck on the head and the neck on the body, and if it's in a spot that looks good to you, call it good. But now we can add her hair. And it's actually poking out the top of her head instead of out the back like you would expect from most hair. Anyways, she's done. Put her on a base. Our first Victoria is done. Hardest part on assembling the model would be figuring out the waist, I guess. How the 2 legs fit together and then glue onto the waist. But that was something I needed to figure out, and it's easier for you since you saw how I did it. Other than that, small bits and flimsy swords that are going to be very easy to break if you're not careful. So be cautious. Let's move on. So for our second Victoria, she's the one jumping up in the air, or landing, not sure which. And she's got even more pieces. Joy. Anyways, we'll take the back half of the torso and add the boobage. Then we'll go ahead and just do the arms while we're at it. So this is the right arm, it'll attach to this one. Here's the left arm, but it'll also have, I think, this piece, which will attach to the bottom side of it. And once we're there, we can do the right leg and then the left leg, and there are 3 different pieces of hair We'll figure out the order of those later. And basically, once the entire body's done, then we'll just add the tail coat, the coats of the tail, the tail, whatever. Most of the torso, and the rest of the torso. Now let's add the right arm. That's looking nice and straight. Now let's combine the two halves of the left arm, which is going to be mostly this guy, but also this little piece over here. Now here's the arm, and the connection point is just going to be right here for the other bit. There it is, and then you can see the connection to the shoulder is right there. And there it is in the shoulder socket. As far as the angle goes, it's not going to be an easy, like, aha, this is exactly how it connects. Just try and match the render and see what angle the arm is at on that. And that should be good enough to get you where you need to go. So let's do the legs. The slightly extended leg versus the slightly bent one is going to be our right leg. There's our right leg. Now let's do the left leg. And there is our left leg. Alright, let's figure out the hair now. Alright, the main piece is going to be this one. This here, you can see the nub right there, that will go on top. And then this extra little bit of hair will actually go on this side right in there. So we're going to clip this one out, attach this piece, and then this piece, and then we'll put it on the head. Alright, our base hair, now add the bigger piece on top. That is now what it looks like. Let's turn it over here and add our last piece right in there. Okay, here it is. The connection point just looks kind of weird, so I'm not going to be able to determine if it's in the right spot looking there. We need to look at this side on this seam and make sure that's nice and closed and looks like flowing hair, which it does. Let's jam this onto the back of her head. Takes a little bit of wiggling just so you don't knock that sword arm out of place. But there is her hair. Now we just add the back of the coat and call her good. Yeah, there she is. Hooray! All done. Put her on a base. Okay, I don't normally do this, but I've seen, especially when this kit came out a long time ago, that they didn't like this sculpt because this pose looked awkward, and I can understand that. The verticality of it makes it seem like there's need to be more momentum, like going forward, possibly. Otherwise, it just kind of looks like she's awkwardly hanging in the air. I'm not sure how much I agree with that, but I understand where the complaint comes from. So, quick and dirty way to make this a little bit more dynamic, and that's just we're going to tilt her the slightest bit forward, which thankfully, because of the weird bases, you can just do by kind of gluing her slightly that way at an angle. So, this is how she looks normally. And here she is at the slightest adjustment to her angle. Alright. Anyways, let's discuss. Our second Viktoria is done. Hardest part for her was positioning of the left arm, getting it to mimic the render. It took a little bit of fiddling, as well as all of the hair bits and how they interacted with the head. But not the biggest pain. So we'll just keep plugging along, I guess. Anyways, let's move on to our henchman now. Okay, Vanessa, our henchman, hopefully going to be slightly easier. We've got two halves of the body that we'll combine first, and we'll go ahead and do her 2 feet as well. Then she's got some books here and here, which is going to go underneath her right arm, so we'll attach those first. You can see one of the straps will eventually fit on her. Then we'll do her right arm, her left arm, and her hair, and her other hair. 2 parts of the hair. We'll probably combine the 2 pieces of the hair and then jam that on her head. Anyways, that's the last step. So we'll go with these 2 first. Back of the torso, plus the front half. And torso is a misnomer. That is the vast majority of her body here. Okay, let's look at her feet. Alright. So our slightly longer connection point leg is going to be her left foot, which is going to be the straight leg. And then the bent leg is going to be the right foot. Therefore, this one will go attached to the right leg. I'm not even sure if it's touching the right or not. We'll see. So this one first to her left leg. Before and after. That's what it looks like. So now let's do the right foot. And there it is. You're really going to need to poke at it with your pokey stick to get it all the way in there at the correct angle. But that's what it looks like. Alright, let's figure out her books. Okay, so this book is going to attach on the front. This is the strap that's going across her chest. And this book will attach to her lower back. There is very obvious a connection point for this dot right here, and the strap will go up over her, well, eventually would go over her left shoulder if it didn't, like, end there. Okay, so let's do this book first. Okay, I initially suggest you do the book that's strapped to her chest first, but no, that was very, very wrong. You gotta do this one first, the one on the back. That dot connection point will go on there, and it's going to be a real weird connection to get this to sit in here and look good while this book is actually still like flat across her lower back and butt. But it eventually gets there, so I'm just showing you as close as I can how tight it should be once you've got it all in there correctly. But, you know, a good amount of fiddling. As you can see, some of the torn up plastic from my experimenting. I apologize. So now we can do the one on the front now. Right, there it is. And there are both of them together. I think you can actually glue that book onto the middle of her back too. Okay, let's do the arms. The right arm is holding the staff. Cleaning off the connection point. Be careful with that because one of the connection points is the tooth that sort of wedges into her shoulder socket. That's the main way it's connected. So you shouldn't be shaving off that entire nub. Just make sure that it's clean. Okay, let's do her left arm now. Okay, left arm in. That pose honestly looks very uncomfortable on her shoulders. But we only got 2 bits left, 2 pieces of hair. So let's look at those. Oops. Okay. So this part is mostly what's going to attach to her head, although we will combine the 2 of them to equal 1 piece of hair before we put it on her head. So you can see where the connection point is on this one for her hair over here. And I lied. It's going to need to attach to her head, and then the other piece is going to have to connect to both her head and the hair. You can see I had to pull them apart. I apologize. It got me. I assumed you could combine the 2 of them first. But anyways, this is what she looks like. So let's do the last piece of her hair and color good. Okay, hair is in and she's all done. Put her on a base. Vanessa Chambers is done. Hardest part was easily figuring out the books. Those were a pain. Make sure you do the one that's going over her, that's strapped to her left shoulder first. And make sure it's nice and snug in its place, and then do the one that goes across the front of her chest. And then the hair. Hair wasn't too terribly easy, nor the feet. Pretty difficult model for a humanoid overall. But we got it done. She looks pretty good. Let's get started on the minions. Well, I was wrong about Vanessa being easier, but these Ronin are fewer pieces, so hopefully we'll get lucky and they're not going to be as much of a pain. Cross your fingers. All right, so we got 3 Ronin. Our first one is going to go from here to here. Second one from here to here. And then our third one is this side. So let's start with our first Ronin. We got 2 halves of her body. We'll put them together. Then we'll do the feet, the left arm, the right arm, the gun on her back, and then her head. Okay, so let's start with these 2 pieces. Back half, plus our front half. Now we've got feet to add, and that slid right in there without any issue. So now we can start on the arm. Let's go ahead and add our right arm, which is holding the sword. Alright, there is our right arm. Just got the sword pointed out in front of her. Now let's add our left arm, which will be holding on to the bottom part of the hilt of the sword. I guess it's part of the bottom hilt part of the sword. Anyway, I'm just going to add it. Okay. You can see, if we get in close, how the hands line up to make the full hilt of the sword. Okay, now we just got to do the gun on her back and then her head. So let's do that. Now it doesn't show it too terribly well on the render, but the gun is actually supposed to be upside down like this. Okay, so now we just do the head. And we're all done. They've really done a decent job of blending Western and, like, samurai together. Anyways, Baser. Our first Ronin is done. We're going to call her Tiffany Chan. No real hard parts. Pretty pretty simple. The left hand figuring out how it connects with the sword wasn't the easiest, and then the hat. Yeah, the hat was kind of a pain. We'll say the hat. But we got it figured out. Let's move on. Okay, our second Ronin has a full body, except for the back part of her torso. We'll add that first, and then we'll go ahead and do the tail of the coat, which is these two pieces, followed by right arm, left arm, the sword on her back, and then the hat. So grab this piece and add this piece first. Alright, here's our body. Now we turn it around, we add the back of the torso. Here it is attached. Be careful cleaning up that left shoulder. Just make sure you don't carve out too much. Do some dry fitting. Be cautious. Okay. Now, the back is the tail of the coat that will fit on the back of her waist. So we'll put that on first, and then we'll do the other piece of the coat next. Okay. And the other piece of the coat is going to fit right in that big hole, as well as connecting to the other tail of the coat. You see this connection point right here. That's just going to hook in right there. And now we have a complete coat, and if I can actually hold on to the mini, we have a pretty cool looking model now. Obviously still pieces missing. Let's do the right arm next, which is the one holding the gun. Okay, there it is. Gun sitting right up against the edge of the coat. So your armor is straight down. Let's do the left arm, which is holding a cigarette, so I'm assuming she's smoking. Alright, there's left arm. Yeah, that was correct. She is smoking. Okay, now let's do the sword on the back. And there's the sword. You can see where it's supposed to connect to on the back. Another thing to note, I just noticed as I was putting this on, I accidentally separated the tail of the coat from the body. So there was a hole like right there. So in the process of putting this on, make sure you haven't pulled it away from the connection point. Okay, hat time. Alright, looking at the top of her head, it's really hard to see, but there is in fact two sort of flat areas. There's a ridge separating them, so it's not completely flat. The smaller flat area is towards the front of her head. So if we look at our, let me see if I can put this on the tweezers without dropping them. If you look at that, there's also a sort of ridge, and you can see that the smaller flat area is more towards the top here. So we are looking at the front of the hat. And there we go. Alright, second Ronin's done. Put her on a base. Second Ronin is done, and we will call her Jessica Senpai. Hardest part was the back of the coat, the tail of the coat, and getting that to sit in against the waist and not knock out of place. Yeah, that was really it. Looks real good. Smoking's bad for you. Moving on. Our third and last Ronin is also looking to be pretty simple. We will grab the torso and then add both of the legs, followed by both of the arms. I realize that the torso comes in two pieces, my bad. So actually our first step is going to be combining this piece and this piece. Then both the legs, both the arms, the scabbards on the back, sheath, whatever, and then finish it off with the head like we normally do. So these two pieces first. Back part of the torso, plus the front part of the torso. Now our legs have different connection points. You see that one has more of a traditional pill-shaped tooth, and this one is weirdly shaped. So if we look at the screw, and not knock our phone over, this one, you have to look in there, that's our pill shape, so this is our left leg. And just to confirm, I have to look at this way. This is our more oblong one up here. So this will be our right leg. Be easier to show you when it's clipped off. This is our pill-shaped one, so it's our left leg. And Our right leg is the oblong-shaped one. Here's the left leg. Okay, now the right leg. And here is our right leg. Okay, now onto the arms. Here's our right arm, and this will be our left arm. Okay, there's our right arm, and to be very careful with these blades, they're very thin. You can see that bend there where I accidentally bent the blade slightly, and it will snap very easily now. I am sorry, Victoria. Okay, let's go and do the left arm now. Oh, these should be probably touching the ground, so on the same level as the balls of our feet. There is our left arm. View from the front. Now let's add the scabbards on the back. The scabbards are done. Easy connection. There's a nice groove going down the diagonal of her back where that bottom scabbard will sit. Let's do the face and head. There's the head. All done. Last Ronin. Let's get her on a base. Ronin number 3 is done. We are going to call her Heatherson. Hardest part was not trying very hard to clean up the swords without breaking them, which was a pain and something I failed at. I apologize. Other than that, I would say she's probably the easiest, easiest out of all of them. So, and it was something not too bad. Now let's look at the whole box, shall we? The Victoria's core box is done. We have Viktoria, also Viktoria, Vanessa Chambers, 1, 2, 3 Ronin. All humanoid characters, but a pretty difficult box overall. Big issue being there's a lot of thin things like the swords that are easily breakable, and quite a few small pieces that are going to get lost in your carpet if you're not careful. But at least you know how a human body works, so it could be worse, I guess. But yeah, just gonna need to take your time and being careful with the bits, both cleaning them and assembling them. And it'll turn out right. I believe in you. But I have been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux. Have a good night.